Then there's a lot of sports, and what I'm finding with a lot of the Olympic athletes is that they're having to perform at certain events throughout the year in order to secure funding for the next year. And it just takes one or two bad competitions, and suddenly you're having to fend for yourself, and that there's some sports are a lot more expensive and to maintain. And um, how did you go about when you decided to go full noise into ski cross? How did you manage to secure funding and keep yourself afloat before performing at World Champs?
Yeah, so in ski cross, there was no pathway at all. No one in New Zealand essentially did the sport. So obviously there was no funding. There was no one you could kind of jump on, piggyback off. So I ended up forming a pretty close relationship with the Australian team. So they had a good group. They were well funded. So I managed to form this relationship with them, where I traveled with them, shared resources, and they taught me a lot too. And so it was kind of us against all these big European and North American teams.
Mm,
And I mean, as far as funding, so yeah, there was no funding. So I had to be pretty, I guess, smart and onto it as far as trying to create this team around me to help fund me.
mm,
As you say, it's not a cheap sport. It's the travel. The travel can get very expensive very quickly.
mm.
Always on the road, overseas. Generally, I'd spend a good 4 or 5 months overseas, traveling, living out of a suitcase.
Yeah.
So yeah, well, I kind of created this team around me, tried to, I guess, promote myself, found some equipment sponsors, and yeah, that kind of set me going.
So when you say, I guess you've created your own personal brand, and you needed to try and sell that to businesses as well. So what certain things do you do uh, to go about that?
So set up a website where I do like newsletters and trying to just kind of create that brand, trying to look professional
Yeah, yeah,
as
yeah.
well. I think it's a really important thing, and that's how you can do that. And then you can approach people who have, say, interest, trying to find people who have are interested in skiing or interested in sport, and then kind of almost selling it to them as like it's part of they're becoming part of the journey
Mm,
for them. Often it's people who maybe they had that long lost dream, now they're past that, maybe they're 50 or 60, and for them to actually be a part of that team, getting inside information, understanding, feeling what it's like, for them, that's how they get that, I guess, return for their investment.
yeah. And has it changed over the years in terms of more opportunities for skiers to get funding, or is it still this process of trying to create a personal brand and trying to sell yourself?
Yeah, so after the success of the last Olympics,
Mm,
so Snow Sports New Zealand now is, I think it's a tier two funded discipline within the high performance sport.
mm,
So there is actually a pathway there. There is support now through the younger kids coming through, and then the support also at the top,
mm.
which does make life a lot easier.
Yeah. Do you think you'll, when you get to your 40s, 50s, sponsor a young skier, or do you help someone out that that was in your position, and knowing the stress that it can, um, of trying to get the funding? Would that be something you would like to do in the future?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean,
Yeah,
yeah, obviously I've been through it all, so I know exactly what it's like, and being able to help them through some of that, and maybe even if it's just some direction too. I
yeah,
think I could definitely get a lot of reward from that.
yeah, yeah.